7 o'clock, Psycho sees Santa's workshop, and only Lee Majors can stop them. In the night the reindeer died. Be here.
You can't show that commercial. That thing looked like the Manson family Christmas special.
Think I'm way off base?
Yes, you're a tad off base, sir.
Frank Cross is more than the youngest network president in television history.
Call security, have them change his locks, and toss him out of the building.
Oh, he's fired? It's Christmas.
Thank you. Call accounting. Stop his bonus. Watch out.
Ah!
He's a thoughtful boss,
Thanks, boys. Get the nurse.
a generous brother,
What did he give you last year?
I don't remember. A shower curtain. Ma'am, I think you dropped something here.
and a true humanitarian.
I can't get the antlers glued onto this little guy. We've tried crazy glue.
Have you tried Staples?
But his life is about to change.
That was a good one.
You are going to be visited by 3 ghosts tomorrow at noon.
God, tomorrow's bad for me, Lou. As a matter of fact, the whole rest of the week is a washout.
Anyone who thinks he hates Christmas is wrong.
Come back to Jersey, you moron!
It's ghosts he hates.
I love that bit!
I'm the ghost of Christmas present.
Bill Murray, Karen Allen,
It sounded like you'd seen a ghost.
A ghost?
John Forsythe, Bobcat Goldthwait,
Hey! You glad to see me, or is this a shotgun in your pocket? You know this one?
Everybody knows this one. Let's go now.
How does everybody know this one?
Carol Kane, Robert Mitchum,
I really care!
David Johansen.
Oh, I'm having the weirdest day!
See Bill Murray get Scrooged.
Hey, back off, big man. That may work with the chicks, but not with me.
Welcome back to our Humble San Diego podcast. This is Drop the Mic, and I'm your host, Swan. Alongside me tonight, we have our own local projectionist, Mr. Chris Pawlak, back in the studio for another podcast takeover. What's up, man?
What's up?
How have you been?
I've been okay.
In a better mood since the last episode we did together?
Yeah, except for this morning. To the asshole in the overcompensating truck who decided that he couldn't merge until he went from 60 to 0 miles per hour. Fuck you, buddy. Good thing my brakes had just been done by those assholes at Pep Boys. Because I definitely left tracks on the road. But other than that, I'm good.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you.
After that. So this week we are tackling our annual holiday special with a look back on the late 80s classic Scrooged in episode 250, Murray's Magical Christmas. But before we discuss the film, here's some of our usual warm-up segments, starting with pop culture news.
And now for a special news report. Brought to you by Drop the Mic.
Do you have anything on that front this week?
I thought that I did earlier, and I got lost in the shuffle of everything else I was trying to get done today.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry I don't have the news for you.
No problem. I have just 2 pieces, so pretty short and sweet. This isn't really pop culture news, but I think it's important, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Former police officer Kim Potter has officially been charged with first and second degree manslaughter after her actions last April in Minnesota, which involved the fatal shooting of Dante Wright. Her sentencing will happen February 18th, 2022.
I did see that headline, so that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty, it's always great when, something comes that the system works.
Yeah, and I can't be too optimistic, because of course it's going to fuck everyone again.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the kind of reckoning that this country went through last summer with the George Floyd stuff is hopefully starting to turn that tide. And hopefully people will be held accountable. police officers will be held accountable from now on. But that's me trying to be really optimistic about the situation. But it's good seeing that some justice is prevailing as of late.
Definitely. So stay tuned, I guess, for what happens, and we'll see what happens with the sentencing. Moving on then to some lighter news. Can't say this is really positive. If you're a John Wick fan, John Wick Chapter 4 has been officially delayed yet again, going from its original May 27, 2022 slot to March 24th, 2023.
Oh, well, almost an entire year?
Yeah, again.
What was the reason? I heard that it got bumped, but...
The article that I read, they didn't really give any specific reasons. I'm not sure if it's just because Matrix just opened, and so...
Because at one point in time,
they were
supposed to open at the same time, The Matrix and John Wick,
yeah. And yeah.
I think COVID threw a lot of that stuff off.
Yeah, as far as the productions.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if they're just trying to further distance themselves or what's going on with that, but I mean, it's okay. We have 3 chapters already, and I don't think we want to be rushing these out into the world anyway, right?
No.
So, yeah, that's pretty much my news for this week. Not too much going on.
And now it's time for the weekly recommendations.
Did you have anything for recommendations?
Of course.
All right, let's hear them.
First one is a show that you and I talked about briefly last week, and that was called Voir on Netflix. It's only 6 episodes?
Yes.
Video essays on film, and it was just really fascinating, and it's really well done. I think Fincher and his wife Sean Chafin are producers on it. And there was one on, like, anti-heroes, there was one on violence, there was one on...
Revenge?
That might have been the violence one, yeah, Revenge. Jaws, the one on Jaws is great because as the woman's telling the story, they're using a lot of camera tricks and angles that are in Jaws as she tells the story. And they're, having a reenactment of her childhood. And one is on animation, the last one is on 48 Hours, and how that movie kind of was a good movie to talk about race. It was fascinating. Every single one of those episodes was really good, and I really enjoyed it. I wish that it was longer, and each of those episodes were barely 20 minutes long. I just wish we had more of them because it was such a fascinating watch.
Hopefully it was a big enough hit for them to greenlight another season.
I hope so. They were fantastic.
It was great. And that's on Netflix, right?
Yes. Next one is something I've recommended a few times before. Want to recommend it again. New season is out now, The Expanse, which is a fantastic show. Unfortunately, this is the last season. I know last year there was some confusion as to whether or not the next season was going to be the last, and I heard that, and then I heard that no, it wasn't going to be the last. But apparently now, yes, it is the last season, which is awful. Because that show is so goddamn good and so underappreciated.
Are they going to be able to... Are they closing out their story, or is it just being canceled?
I think it's going to get a closeout, but it's based on a series of books, and there are 9 books, and this is only going to be the 6th book that they're adapting. I've never read the books. I'm kind of waiting until the series is over to go and read the books as to have it not color my view of the series because I love it so much.
Okay.
But from what I understand, I think there's a significant time jump between books 6 and 7, so maybe this is kind of a natural endpoint for them. Maybe they'll come back a few years down the road and adapt the other 3 books, because I think the last book just came out this fall. But I haven't watched the new season yet because I want to go back and do a rewatch.
Okay. Which
I just did last year, but I want to go back and rewatch again. Unfortunately, this season is short. It's only 6 episodes, so they're about half the episodes that they normally do. in a season. But from what I understand, season's been very good so far. I think they've done 3 episodes so far. But definitely check that show out, especially if you're a huge fan of sci-fi. The show is fantastic.
All right, The Expanse. Those are your 2?
Those are my 2.
All right. So I wanted to just give a shout out to The Matrix Resurrections. I've only seen about like the first 45 minutes, but what I saw was pretty solid. It's very meta and self-aware, and very different than what I was expecting, but in a good way so far. So I know it's not doing well, probably because Spider-Man's taking everybody's spotlight right now.
It's also just right before Christmas. I think once Christmas hits, and that, especially that week between Christmas and New Year's, I think that business will pick up.
It'll pick up?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Coming out so close to Christmas is always tough because people are busy with a bunch of other stuff.
But yeah, just want to give a shout out to Resurrections. As far as anything else, I've already wrecked the shows that I've been watching. Dexter, New Blood, Yellow Jackets is great. And yeah. So with that being said, we can move into our main focus if you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now for the movie focus of the week.
Alright, so we're talking about Scrooged. It's from 1988. It's PG-13. It runs at 1 hour and 41 minutes, and it's got a 69 on Rotten. What do you think about that score?
I think that's probably around where it should be.
Okay.
I know that it's a bit divisive. We're going to get into some of the stuff that I was kind of unhappy to read about in my research.
Okay.
As far as the behind the scenes stuff was going on, but I like it. We wouldn't be doing this for the Christmas show if I didn't love it, and it's been something I've been watching since I was a kid, so that's why we're going to talk about it. But I can see where some people wouldn't like it, and even reading some of the critics, or some of the criticism on it from when it opened, I can get where some of those critics were coming from.
Okay. We'll dive deeper into that in a bit. Written by Mitch Glazer and Michael Donahue, directed by Richard Donner, R.I.P., starring Bill Murray, Karen Allen, John Forsythe, Bobcat Goldthwait, Carol Kane, Robert Mitchum, and Michael J. Pawlak.
Alfred Woodard, too, was fantastic in it.
Based upon Charles Dickens' classic novella, A Christmas Carol, the story is a modern retelling of the 1843 source material, which follows Frank Cross, a big-shot television executive whose actions ultimately lead him to various encounters with ghosts on Christmas Eve, which in turn will hopefully make him see the error of his selfish and arrogant ways. As most of us know, A Christmas Carol has been retold countless times, but in the early 80s, SNL writers Mitch Glazer and Michael O'Donoghue came up with a hard-edged version of the material. Having a good working relationship with Bill Murray at the time, the two pitched their idea to him and Murray passed, as he was sitting on the hugely successful Ghostbusters film already. But after a few years passed, with only having done a few cameo-style roles, Murray eventually returned back to the idea of Scrooged. Coming aboard the project, Murray required a huge $6 million payday that led him to being paid more than anyone else involved. As well as not being a fan of the script, he demanded the story be reworked in several ways. As the film moved on, they sought out director Richard Donner, who was in high demand at the time, coming off several hits that included Lethal Weapon, The Goonies, and The Omen. The film began shooting in December of 1987, flip-flopping back and forth between sound stages and New York City for many months. Murray's behavior proved difficult for the crew, as he constantly improv'd scenes clashing against the crew's already revised script. Murray's style put a strain on his working relationship between director Richard Donner, as he described his experience on set as miserable. The unorthodox production caused many to be unsure of what their final product would look like, as they seemed to drift farther and farther away from what the original script was supposed to be, causing writer